Teresa Daban Sanchez, welcome to RFERL show. This is a series of exclusive interviews that I conduct with very important people, policymakers, diplomats, and you are a diplomat actually. You are a diplomat for IMF working here, and it's a very important assignment, especially for the country like Armenia that is struggling with its economy, and there are so many problems here, and we know that IMF was here from the very beginning of when Armenia became independent, and you helped a lot this country. But many people believe you also have you caused some problems for this country. We're going to talk about all these issues, but just I want to introduce you and that you are here for 3 years, and you're going to help, I'm sure, Armenia, and you are from Spain, right? The country that Armenians love. You know, we know your culture, your poetry, your music, and we're fascinated with Spain and with the beauty. And a lot of Armenians now going to Costa Brava or other places now. I'm talking about those Armenians who have the money.
Lucky them.
Who do not, they go to Batumi.
Me neither.
Yeah, and so I just want to, you're an economist by your training. You worked also for the Ministry of Finance, so you've been talking with IMF as a government official.
Exactly.
So you know, you understand both languages, right?
Exactly.
So I hope you can, you know, work better, use your skills in dealing with our government. Sometimes it's not so easy to deal with them. So my first question, if you were going to add what I just said, you know, just go ahead, and why are you here? Is there any connection with Armenia, and what do you believe to accomplish here?
Thank you very much, Harry. This is a very interesting question, and also something that I welcome the opportunity to answer. And as you said, I started my career in the policy making in Spain, and I think that was super important to understand how the political aspects of any action that we may take are critical. And then I have been at the fund for almost 14 years, traveling around the world and learning from different country experiences, but always from Washington, traveling periodically, but from an office in Washington. And at some point in my career, I thought, no, I want to go to the real world. I want to go to a country. At that time, Armenia was not in my radar. Yeah. And then because I want to really see how the IMF is perceived from the outside, and how all of this policy making is done in reality, and how I can contribute. That's why I decided to go what we call in the field, in the country, connecting with the people. Yeah, sure. And Armenia came out as a destination that was interesting to me, because it is a region in which I didn't have the opportunity to work before. So in that sense, it's new. And I believe that with all my experience, I think that I can bring new ideas and new perspective. And I think that this is something that is going to be a very good experience for me.
Yeah, very good. So I think we will hear from you a lot, since you are new here and you still didn't have a chance to talk to media, right? Are you going to hold press conference?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. One part of my job is to outreach to the Armenian citizen, and the Armenian citizen, the way of reaching out then is through the media, definitely.
Yes, and the first question that I'm going to ask you is about Armenia's economic growth. We know that the country is really in a bad condition right now, and well, after the several years of economic growth, or rather double digits, now we're experiencing now slow growth, and we had, after the economic collapse that experienced the entire world, Armenia also suffered a lot, right? And now we have some, the forecast is, government was forecasting like 7%, but you said you just downgraded the forecast, right, to 4%. Mm-hmm. Why is that Why is that? Why do you believe that, the government first came up with 7%, now they also say 4%? What happened?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and I think that deserves an explanation. I mean, how we see the economy is moderating. We will not be that negative. I think the economy is moderating, activity is moderating. Something that we anticipating at the beginning of the year. The economy expanded by 7% in 2012. There was some expectation that will moderate towards what we call the normal growth rate for Armenia, 4-5%. So that's not necessarily new. This is something that we expected. So, and then in the middle of this kind of consideration growth for 2013, there have been new developments by mid-July, as you may know, and that we have a regional and global environment that is less favorable. It's now in the news that emerging markets are also softening their growth. China, India, Brazil, and Russia. That is one of the countries with a stronger connection to Armenia. So this is something that is new, so that's pointing out to the moderation. We also believe that there is some moderation coming from how the budget has been executed this year. There was some delays in the execution of big infrastructure projects. So that also something that is taking some kind of drain in growth. We understand that the authorities are fixing this problem and there will be some kind of picking up at the end of the year. And also, when you look at the whole story, we see also that credit growth in the banking system is moderating. So the whole story is consistent towards some moderation. And at the end of the day, also, we had to look at other shocks that have taken place in the economy. The increase in the gas price in July, this is something that also may have an impact on growth because increased cost for companies. So at the end of the day, we believe that 4% is something that is reasonable and still a kind of healthy level of growth for Armenia.
Yeah, when you talk to the Armenian government, I'm sure you already had your meetings with the Prime Minister and with others. What is your major talking point? What do you talk about? If there's a chance to say you have to fix your economy, you're helping them, right? As you said, what is you cannot go farther than, you have your own mission, you cannot overstep that mission, right? You have certain limits, you cannot go and say, hey, you do this, you do that. But you can at least, if there's a chance to tell the Prime Minister, listen, this is the way you have to fix the economy. What would that be?
Yeah, well, first of all, I believe we have some clarification here. We don't tell country what they have to do. Yes. That's very, very important. Sometimes we are perceived that way, as the IMF are these guys that go to country to tell them what to do. No, that's not the way we work. We have a partnership with the authorities, a very kind of successful one, I would say. No, so and we have a program. We have a program as you may know very, very well. It's a very comprehensive set of actions. So it's not only one point that they had to do. There are different aspects, but I can summarize for them for you all of these actions. Yeah. No? And in that sense, also it's important to take into account that Armenia has just completed the implementation of a 3-year program with the fund that had different actions on macroeconomic stability that was achieved after the global crisis. Armenia has managed to go back to growing. Many countries in Europe are not able to do that. Armenia is an economy that contracted by 14% in 2009. Now it's growing. That's something very important.
That's not visible. We don't seek the growth here. People would ask that.
Sure. That's why.
Tell me, where's the growth?
Exactly. So that's why. No. So the program that had just finished managed to stabilize the economy. That's very important to make plans for the future and to growth more inclusive, with no inflation and sustainable. And this is what we are doing now. So we work in the design of another program with the Armenian authority for the future. And what are the goals? Maybe that's what your question was. Yes. What are the goals? First of all, and I think I have to insist because this is very important, the first goal is to maintain that macroeconomic stability. Sound like something simple and that has no implication for the people, but have many implications. If inflation is not controlled and goes to 20-40%, people are going to suffer every day in the street. So we want to keep that under control, and the authorities are working on that direction in a very effective way. So this is very important, to keep that stability. And then to put together policy, fiscal policy, in which there is a focus on two things: infrastructures. There is a need to fill the gap of infrastructure in Armenia, and to keep a very good provision of social spending, a kind of quality. And that has to be done in a way that is sustainable. So this is in order to not jeopardize the macroeconomic stability, in a way that is sustainable, and the level of debt of Armenia doesn't increase in a kind of explosive way. So this is kind of envelope that we are working with the authorities. And then for that, right now we have an interesting discussion about how to explore options to increase the revenue collection. The government that have good revenue collection.
Tax collection,
exactly,
right?
Have good revenue collection. Look at other countries in the world, countries that have increased their revenue collections and can have a.
When I interrupt here, tax collection, it might be perceived differently, because when you see that a lot of people are suffering from higher taxes, they're paying taxes. I'm not talking about which segment of population, of which sector of economy you're talking about, to increase tax collection, to increase the burden on the people, on the middle class, on small and medium business, or who are those businesses that are not paying taxes that we have to increase? If business is not growing, how we can increase the tax collection? So can you explain this, for example? Or you might just indicate that there are some big businesses that they don't pay taxes. Just would you clarify this issue?
Yeah, definitely this is part of the agenda for tax administration and tax policy for the authorities, and also part of our agenda. We are in our work with them. We are providing technical assistance in how to improve that. And there are two areas. First of all, tax policy. When I say tax policy, how we design the taxes. So we have to look at the whole tax system in Armenia and to see if there are gaps, areas in which there is no taxation or the taxation is very low and there is room for increasing. Let's look at that. We are working together in that direction. And the other aspect that I believe also is very important is tax administration. What that means? That means a lot of things. It means fraud, evasions, that rules are applied, there is no, all of these areas that are super important, and the authority.
But what is the major source of increasing tax collection? Is that the one that you just said, fraud, embezzlement, or where do you see this source? How Armenian government can increase tax collection?
Yeah, definitely. I believe that has to be both, and we are working in both directions. And why? Because when you put together a strategy to increase taxes or revenues in general, what you have to do, we have a lot of experience in countries in the world, you have to have a broad kind of instruments to get the revenue. So you cannot focus all in one area. You have to have a broad, everybody has to contribute. Everybody has to contribute in a kind of balanced way. Everybody has to contribute according to rules that are clear and transparent. And the government needs to have all of these instruments, because you never know which one is going to fail. So you have to have all of these instruments, plus also financing. You have to have sources of financing that are reasonable. So they have to have all of these instruments. So I will recommend, and we are working in that direction, improving all of that.
Just further on that issue, for example, are you recommending, for example, or working on tax collection issues, especially on the shortcomings of tax collection? We know that there are some big businesses, monopolies, that pay really, that their taxes, they're not participating in the, providing tax revenues for the government, right? And they're not paying their share, as you might say.
Yeah, no,
because they're hiding some businesses, they're hiding their incomes, maybe in offshores. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation around this town.
Yeah.
Would you just tell us how you work on these issues?
Yeah.
Are you telling them then you must end this, you have to tackle this issue, and ask and force these businesses to pay taxes?
Yeah, as I say, we don't tell the authorities what to do. We help them to do what they are supposed to do, or when they want to do, and we help country to help themselves. As I told you before, and this is very important. And then definitely, this is an area in which the authorities are already working, and we provide assistance how to do that. And we do that in Armenia and in many other countries. This is a kind of common problem. Business, what they want is to pay as less taxes as possible. That's common, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So the tax administration had to have the tools, legal tools in the judiciary system, investigative tools, administrative tools. They had to be in place, they had to be effective. And the government has to do that. We help them how to do that, how to design them. We provide a kind of also example about what kind of things have worked in other countries, what kind of things may not work here, this type of discussion. And we are present working with them in this direction.
So you're aware of all these issues, and they are aware of your concerns about these issues, right? So
yeah, but that's, my understanding, this is part of the authorities' plan. It's not that we are coming here to tell what to do. As I think is very important. It's already part of the strategy. We help them to strengthen this strategy and to make it more effective.
But sometimes IMF officials come up with some strong criticism. It's not usual, of course, but sometimes they will be open in criticizing. For example, the huge issue for the Armenian economy is corruption. It's a big issue. What do you do about this? Is it within your mission or not to, somehow?
Yeah, in that sense, I think that I need to explain what is our mandate. Our mandate is macroeconomic stability, structural reforms. And in that sense, I personally believe, and I have seen that in other countries, when a country is stable, business are running, is dynamic, is vibrant, and you have structural reforms in many areas. Rule of the game are clear. This transparency, we are a champion of transparency. The IMF has been promoting transparency in every domain, fiscal, monetary, central bank, everything. So when you have this condition that we are pushing for them, pushing meaning encouraging the authorities to do that and to advising them how to do that, then is an environment which everybody benefits from growth. So that's how we work with the authorities, in Armenia, but also in many other parts of the world.
And yes, that's very important. But we know that in some, even the countries that you worked, you work in African countries, there are similar problems, right? Exactly. Corruption is a huge problem everywhere that you were assigned. So how do you see, based on your experience, what is happening? Is there, how the Armenian government should fight this corruption, and just tell me how we can fix this problem. You're not telling to the government, but just tell me.
Yeah, I'm telling you how to fix your problem. No, but I can tell you about other country experiences. I think that it's always good to look at other countries, how they have improved in this area. And many areas, but let's pick one, Latin America. I have worked in Latin America extensively because of my language, obviously. And I have seen this type of improvement in how the economy and the society is more inclusive. Businesses are more like a share, everybody's benefiting. I'm talking about, for instance, Colombia, I'm talking about Peru, How you do that? As I said, first of all, you have to have stability, when inflation is changing dramatically, there is a lot of room for certain people that are better positioned to take advantage. When inflation is stable, everybody has the same rules. This is how macroeconomic stability benefited everybody. I think that this is a very good example. Then transparency. We have very interesting initiatives about transparency at the fund. I will invite you to maybe come visit our webpage. Transparency means that we have assistance to countries on how to design the budget, that everybody understands what is there, that the language is clear, the tables everybody can read, how the central bank should communicate about policies. This is also transparency. When everybody has access to information, there is an environment in which everybody benefits from that. That's the way we work on that direction.
There's one question very important. Is Armenia is aching. The country, some would believe, is bleeding. People are leaving the country, and you can see over almost 30,000 people yearly. That's an average of last few years, leaving the country, going to Russia to find a job. How we can stop this? Is there any way that you are also helping in this, to prevent this exodus from the country? How you can help the Armenian government?
This is a very important challenge for Armenia. Something that I'm still learning about that, the migration phenomenon, and definitely is something that has a drain on growth. Because when you look at countries that are growing a lot in a healthy way, what they are doing, they increase capital, they increase technology, they increase innovation, but also you have to increase labor. There is and productivity. Labor that work more and better, but you need a population growth definitely. So this is an issue that needs to be kind of take into account in whatever strategy we work together. So and then the way we try to help in this area is through structural reforms. As I say, we have these two legs in our discussion with the authority and in the program: macroeconomic stability and structural reform. And structural reforms towards basically three areas that I like to call, I'm calling the areas like the 3 C's for Armenia. Because when you talk about structural reform, everything can be kind of summarized in these 3 C's: competition, competitiveness, and connectivity. These are the 3 C's that, in my view, it's a summary of the work agenda that we have with the IMF. It's my personal contribution, it's nothing official, but I think that these are the 3 areas in which we have to focus. And we are working in that direction. Competition, how to make sure that the rules of the games are clear, everybody can play according to rules that are transparent and fair, and then there is a dynamic economy. That's very clear. How to have authorities like the State Commission for the Protection of Economic Competition, I believe, how that entity, like in other countries, can be more effective in ensuring this kind of level playing field. Second, competitiveness, how to ensure that Armenian products are attractive in the world in terms of price, quality, and then the third, they have to be accessible. How we put the product out there, So how to work in infrastructure, in the civil aviation. So the areas are all of there identified, and the how to move forward is very clear.
And the other issue is the customs union. For example, we know that Armenia took a decision on September 3rd. It was unexpected for many. President Sarkisian announced that Armenia has decided to join customs union. Moscow led the grouping, and what do you think about this customs union? Is it the best option for Armenian economy, given the state of economy that Armenia now is in? Is this beneficial for Armenia, or just give your take on this issue, please.
Yeah, no, this is a very important question and something that we have been working and we have still a lot of work to do. What also is interesting to me from a personal point of view is how the whole thing has been debated in Armenia and how there is such an open discussion. I think that this is very welcoming development. I was yesterday in another event. I was invited with a student, and there was a lot of question about how this is going to happen. So I found that very interesting. Also, it's something that reminds me my own experience. I remember when I was in Spain, I was a junior economist, and Spain decided to join the European Union. Out of the blue. I mean, it was all there, and there was a lot of debate, because this is a major step. So what is going to happen? So then, the situation now is that we have, as the IMF I'm talking now, we have preliminary discussion with the authorities on this issue, and very recently. And we have making progress and the authorities are as well, they are working on that, in identifying the areas, because this is a major thing, so you have to identify what are the areas in which you have to look at carefully what are going to be the implications. And this is not something easy to do. So we identify what are tariffs, what are going to be the trade flows, what about foreign direct investments, what other aspects, the calendar, how this is going to be done. What are going to be the specificities of Armenia in this agreement? Because, for instance, look at the NAFTA, the agreement with Mexico, Canada, and United States. That was also something that many people didn't believe that it would happen because there are three very different economies. It took a while to put that together, So here we are now in this kind of process, identifying areas. And then my understanding is that the authorities have put together working groups to analyze them, to make also analysis of compatibility of this initiative with other treaties that Armenia has been signed before, and etc. So this is going to be a process that we still have to continue working with the authorities and discussion with them. So so I think that for the time being, I think we have to kind of continue analyzing.
You don't have any initial assessment. No. You don't have it yet.
No. Right now, I think it will be. It would be premature to.
But if you are a member of the World Trade Organization, and you are then within that organization, you are creating another free trade area, and you're giving, like preferential treatment to 3-4 countries. And how would that impact to the treaties that Armenia has with the World Trade Organization? Is there any conflict there?
Yeah, no, definitely. So this is something that has to be studied in detail, and I will defer the answer to this question to the expert in international trade. International trade not only from the economic point of view, but from the legal point of view. There is a lot of legal aspects that are very complex that I'm very sorry but not familiar with, and I cannot venture myself to give an answer that need to be reconciled. Definitely, this is something that needs to be everything put together in a way that is. But other countries are also, member of different agreements and can be reconciled. It's complicated, but that has to be done. Yeah.
But for example, Armenia is joining the country to the club of the countries that had some troubles, the similar problems. For example, talking about Belarus, Kazakhstan. Maybe Kazakhstan is a very dynamic economy, but there are political issues there, The command economy, so the president decides everything, right? Or in Belarus. You might have some opinion on that. Just tell us your private opinion, not like IMF official. Can you share with us?
Actually, to be completely honest with you, right now I cannot. Basically because of what I said. Is something that needs to be analyzed and understood to say something that you are looking for an answer, yes or no. I don't think that this is that easy.
But the alternative was better, right? Isn't it obvious?
Sorry?
The alternative, the association agreement with the EU. would have been very, very beneficial for Armenia. Isn't that the case?
I think that the connections with the European Union is beneficial, and I believe also that the authorities have made a statement that their intention is to make everything compatible as possible. We have also to listen from the European Union to say what they have to say.
Are you also talking to them, with the European Union, on this issue or not?
Well, we talk to them in the sense that we are partners, and then we definitely share views, but we don't talk to them about what they have to do with the Armenian authority. We don't do that.
The other issue, I understand. You're very careful about, saying something that might go
but also because
irritate the government here. Is that?
Sure, but also because I believe I personally believe is premature. I mean, we had to wait. I mean, there is working group. They are the experts. They know Armenian legislation. They know all of the legislation out there for the customs union. They know there have been people working for years in the association agreement with the European Union. This is an immense technical work that has to be done. That's my understanding, and also I can see that. So we have to leave the people doing their job.
Yeah, and the other question is Eurobond. I think you might have opinion on this. I mean, there is no way that you don't have, your opinion on Eurobonds, because Armenia increased its public debt, right? When you sell your bonds to the private investors, then you are obliged to give them back with certain percentage, right? Is that good for macroeconomic, situation or not?
Very good question. Yeah, I mean, the Eurobond, I think this is a very welcoming development, and I'm going to explain why. This is a major success for Armenia. Armenia has issued a bond for the first time in the international markets, and international market has shown that they trust Armenia. This is no small thing. This is a very good thing. So when countries do that step, is like a jump into a different level. So we work on that. Also, the other thing that I don't know if everybody is aware, this is coming after a long period of preparation. It's not like Armenia yesterday or last week. No. I mean, they have been. What is in line with good practices?
You work with them on this.
And we have been helping, and also, and different other actors have been assisting the authority. The authority have been looking for advice. It's not like coming out of the blue. So was a preparation. I mean, you know perfectly, maybe better than me. There was some kind of announcement that there was the authorization. Then they were exploring option, and then markets conditions that are also important. And then there was a decision to do that. And so, I mean, I think that we have to be fair and to command the authorities, because also remember this is a kind of recognition from success.
So that you consider this positive development?
It's a positive development, but I'm going to also talk about
the other side.
The other side. We always have to do that as IMF. It's part of my job. No, definitely it's good. I definitely believe that. But then the Eurobond come with all of these goods. Aspects, a diversification of the sources of financing, the exposure to the international markets. Now Armenia is more well known in the world. This Eurobond has helped to put Armenia in the map. That's good. However, come with a lot of responsibilities as well, and that's why we are here to help the authorities in that respect. And I think it's very interesting. It's coming with a responsibility of, well, you have to have a better, good debt management, macroeconomic stability. If before was important, now is in additional, exactly. So, and also all of this is ensure if the Eurobond is used to purposes that are conducive to growth. In that sense, I think it's very important. So borrowing abroad is good depending on what you do with the resources.
That it might be used to pay back the Russian loan, 500 million. Exactly. Is that the case?
That's what the authorities have announced, and then in that sense, the authorities. The level of debt in Armenia will not increase. What they are doing is replacing a debt that was requested in a time of emergency to the Russian government that I think was good for the Armenian at that moment, that has certain characteristics, floating interest rate, and etc. So now they're replacing that for another instrument that has is a fixed interest rate, is very long term, but it's very good. So meaning that it shows trust in the Armenian economy. No? When you are able to borrow long term, that's the good thing. No? And the authorities are using that to replace one debt by the other, but it's good. It's a debt management thing. And then to finance the infrastructure and the budget.
Is there any way that they can misuse these funds? Is it, for example, the debt that they borrowed from the markets? Is there any way that it could be used also on some other wrong ways, or not?
I believe that Armenian public financial managements are reasonably good, definitely for a country like Armenia. I'm really very well pleased in terms of how the budget put together and the level of transparency. I mean, you can see how these resources are going to be used. So, yeah, no, I think that transparency has been there, and it's.
So the markets trusted Armenia because the country is here.
Exactly.
It will not disappear. It's here for some thousands of years. Maybe
no,
that's the reason.
No, it's because Armenia has done. You look. I mean, we have to look at kind of perspective. No, so where the country is coming from, what are the success that having achieved, how the country managed the global crisis. I mean, markets look at all of this.
Forgive me for asking this, but are you familiar with these bonds? There's a name on it, right? Kim Kardashian. Have you had the knowledge prior to issuing these bonds or not?
Yeah, the people here in my office, they told me about that. But that's not nothing official. This is something that markets use this type of name.
It's like nickname.
When I was telling the story that when
there's nothing Kim Kardashian on the bond, right? We haven't seen it. That's why I'm asking. I imagine beautiful Kardashian on the paper.
No. I can tell you when this is kind of how markets work. When Spain, back in the beginning of the 90s, when we still didn't have the trust of markets, and now we are losing it. So Spain issued Eurobonds also for the first time. It was a big deal as well, and it was called Matador. Matador is Spanish word for bullfighter, no? So then when the Japan do that, it's samurai, so they use this kind of names.
At the end of our show, I will ask one question which concerns with this related to IMF mission as a whole. There's a criticism that IMF, only is looking after macroeconomic, indicators and it's not letting the country to develop itself, to build infrastructure, bridges, roads, schools, educational facilities, factories, to create a job. All is IMF doing is look for the country's monetary policy, whether it is stable or not, and it's killing the growth, and it's deflationary, its policies. So this criticism is there, and also your loans has this harsh conditionalities. You don't give loans for just like that. There are tough conditions attached. Is that, how would you respond to this criticism? And if you can just name one or two conditions that you gave attached to the Armenian loans, just can you disclose that?
Yeah, sure. I think that there are two questions in your question here. We're running out of time, so you want to go fast. Yeah, I think that one of the questions is this excessive focus on macro issues, and the other thing is this why there are some these conditionalities. They are related, but let's try to answer them separately. So it's a unfortunately, this is a wrong impression that we have to work to explain better. in that we only care about macro, and that's macroeconomy. That unfortunately is a wrong impression that's out there, and we have to try to explain better, because this is not the case. I mean, we definitely have to care about macro, but the macro is the result of a lot of micro that we say, in English, detail, and then we had to look at them too. And basically, I'm going to put you an example. No, you said that we were killing growth, and that's not true. I mean, we always care about growth that is sustainable. So a country that is growing at 7% age, it's very rare that that country can maintain that growth sustainable. And also sometimes what that happens, and we have seen that, there is overheating, there is inflation, there is shortages, there are people that are suffering, they are growing, but there are other problems around. So it's much better to keep growth in a path that is sustainable, and also that is inclusive. Inclusive meaning that as many people as possible are benefiting for it, because you are excluding certain part of the population. At the end, this is not sustainable. You may grow a lot, but then at the end, there are kind of social needs or disconform in certain part of the economy. So, so our assessment is macro stable, strong growth in line with potential. Potential is a word that we use a lot in the IMF, and maybe I have to explain. Potential means what the country can do without creating secondary effects that are bad, meaning overheating, inflation. So this is the way of ensuring that this is going to last. Because when countries grow for long periods is when countries can make really progress, not by doing something like a very high, very short, So this is our message. This is why we had to also always worry about this kind of stable and sustainable growth that sometimes is perceived as we don't like growth, but that's not true. But it's complicated to explain. I'm going to try to make an effort when I'm here in Armenia to understand that. Yeah. And then there's the loan and the conditionality. There's always this question, and it's a very legitimate question, I understand. And we had to make also an effort why this is coming this way. And and this is related to the other question, no? When we put together a program with countries, sometimes there is a financing component, sometimes there is not. There is not always a financing component, depending on what are the country needs. Sometimes country needs financing, sometimes they only need the framework, and the program is precautionary. In the case of Armenia, the authority decided to use the funds. That's fine. During in the year after the crisis was kind of maybe the reasonable way to do, and then the program is aimed to sustain the finances of the country, but also to put together the country back in a growth path. And we managed to do that. I mean, the authorities, we together as a partnership. To do that, you need to establish a benchmark about improvement in the structural reforms. Otherwise, the country is not going back to normal by itself, not necessary. So that's why we established, not we, when I say we, is the program is the authorities program. We help them to design and to monitor. It's the authorities program. That's the other thing I think is very important to, the authority, the Armenian program, no? So there is a work together to establish what are the benchmark structural reform changes that we believe are going to help the economy to go back from a contraction of 14% in 2009 to the 4% now. This is not easy.
Long way, yeah.
Yeah, so we had to do, and then, like in any kind of strategy, you had to have a calendar. You had to put deadlines. You had to have some kind of structure. And we have also a review process. Review meaning that we revisit the whole thing during the 3 years, and we adjust depending on the different situations. So it's not like a rigid package. No? So and then I think that the whole thing is very well designed to put together a country back to normal.
So you believe in Armenia?
Sorry?
You believe in Armenia's future?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you for this
That's very nice.
opportunity. Very nice. Thank you.